Good evening, friends, and welcome to Sleepytime Tales, a sleep aid podcast aimed at helping you to get a good night's sleep. Do you find your mind plagued with the stresses of modern life, especially when the lights are out and you're trying to get a restful night? Do you find your mind spinning and churning? Follow my voice down the path towards a good night's rest. Listen to me tell a story that will keep your mind from wandering to your daytime problems. Because you can't solve those right now anyway, and it'll probably be easier in the morning with a little bit of rest. So listen to my voice and allow yourself to drift, following the twists and turns, but slowly letting go and drifting into the deep night. This podcast is brought to you by Audible. I have signed up for a Audibletrial affiliate program, so if you would like to get a free audiobook to keep, as well as a 30-day free trial with Audible, go to the link in the show notes or go to audibletrial.com/sleepytime. Go fill out your details and sign up for a 30-day free trial and find yourself something interesting to listen to in the dark or driving the car or something of the likes. This also helps contribute to the running of the podcast. I would like to be able to make it somewhat self-sufficient and cover its own costs and start doing some upgrades. So if you would like to help me and help me grow this podcast, that's a little thing that you can do that costs you absolutely nothing. If, however, you do feel like sending a little bit of money my way, I've made some interesting changes to the Patreon. I've mentioned a couple of times now. I've beefed up the $1 and $5 levels, including the addition of catnaps, which are little 10, 15, 20-minute episodes, pre-written short stories from history. Those are only available to Patreon, as I said, on all Patreon levels. But if you're curious and give them a little listen, you can find them on Radio Public, where they will be played with advertising to help cover some costs. So if you can afford to contribute a little bit and help me out, from as little as $1 a month, you get those little bonus episodes, and for free with the price of listening to an ad, you find them on Radio Public. Also, the website sleepytimetales.net has I've got some interesting blog posts going up regularly, little interesting trivia about sleep and sleep advice and stuff like that. There's also a little tip jar, so if you want to kick a little money my way without making a monthly commitment, that's a handy option for you. And also, I have an Amazon affiliate partnership as well. I link to a lot of sleep-related products and services that might be handy to go check out. So if you're looking for a bed or a pillow or pretty much anything from Amazon, actually, you can hit those links and see where they take you. The music in this episode and all episodes thus far is Untitled by Kumiku. Their music is available on the Free Music Archive. I've linked their website and their Patreon in the show notes, as there's some very cool stuff which they release under various different names that I recommend checking out. So what exactly is Sleepytime Tales, and what is a sleep aid podcast? To answer your question, let me start with a common problem. Do you find that at night you lie awake with your mind spinning and your emotions in turmoil, staring at the ceiling, brooding on the anxieties of 21st century life, haunted by the anxieties of your life? Do you wake up in the middle of the night and find that you can't quite doze back off at 3 a.m.? I'm here to help. My name is Dave, and I'm a narrator, here to talk you into a restful night. I'm someone who has struggled to sleep ever since I was a baby. My parents had sleepless nights with me for many years, and even once I got old enough not to bother them anymore, I always struggled to get a good night's sleep. It was fairly recently, quite late in life, that I discovered the tendency for droning male voices to just put me into a deep sleep. I found that happened to me when I was lying in bed listening to podcasts at night, and I'd suddenly find myself waking up when they would reach the outro music, and I'd missed the whole thing that I'd lay down to try to listen to. Eventually, I started listening to podcasts specifically for the purpose of sleeping. And one day I actually found out that sleep aid podcasts are a thing. There were people out there that were deliberately trying to bore people to sleep to help them get a restful night. I tried one out that was quite special, and it worked very well for me. It was designed specifically for the purpose of distracting the restless mind. And while it worked for me, when I recommended it to other people, they didn't actually like the narrator's voice. There wasn't anything else quite like it that I could find, so I wondered if I could make an alternative with my own droning voice. And here it is. Every episode starts with this long, boring, quite repetitive intro, and it's there for a reason. The first one is every night, every week I get new listeners, and I feel like I need to explain to them exactly what is going on and why I think they might find it useful to listen to me. And the other thing is, for people who have been listening for a while, it helps to give them some time to prepare their mind for rest. Here, what we do here is we build a space together. And the idea is that you listen to me closely as I tell you tonight's story. That you listen in the dark and stop the spinning mind that prevents you from having a restful night's sleep. Take this time to finish fiddling with your phone and to have a little bit of water and get yourself nicely wrapped up in your blankets. Tonight's story is a new original series that I'm running. Normally this week I would have a Twin Peaks episode, but since I've dropped those now because they were my least popular, I'm trying a new original series about a regular, boring-looking little town that happens to be full of wizards. So the idea is that the story is a little bit engaging, just enough to hold your attention, but not so much that it keeps your attention to the point that you can't actually fall asleep. The premise is interesting, but I promise you the story is not all that fascinating, so it shouldn't keep you awake. Now, ideally, I'm hoping that you're asleep before I get to the end of the episode. If all goes well, that is what should happen, but it's important that you don't feel pressurized. If this is your first night listening, it may not work for you. My accent may be strange. The whole idea of this thing may be weird to you. Also, if you haven't really been sleeping for a long time, it might take you a while to develop the habit of going to sleep, of going to bed and preparing yourself. It's also possible that one episode just isn't long enough. What I usually do with sleep aid podcasts when I listen to them is I put on the latest episode and then I just let them stream, and I find myself waking up at 3 a.m. in the morning with the podcast still running, and that helps me get back to sleep. One of my favorite things is actually when I wake up about 30 minutes before my alarm. I usually wake up at 6 a.m. and sometimes I find myself awake at 5:30 and I just carry on listening and fall back asleep, and I can tell you now that sometimes is the best part of my night. There's something about just when the alarm is coming, just allowing yourself complete deep relaxation and letting go that is just so satisfying. And so you have the basic idea. You relax and you lie in the dark, and while you do that, I tell you a tale. So relax, dear listener, my nighttime friend who has elected to lie in the dark listening to my voice. You will always be safe with me. I'm here to help you relax, to improve your life in a small way. People don't sleep very well these days, and it makes their lives harder. So I'm here to do my small part to help you in a big way, to help you to face tomorrow and the day after well rested and better able to cope and process. I believe very strongly in the benefits of kindness. I want to be kind to you. I want to share kindness with you. And it's very important that you need to be kind to yourself. If you can't fall asleep and you struggle, even with me here in your ears, and you can't get over, don't beat yourself up. Don't get tense. Don't rebuke yourself. Just lie in the dark and listen. Even if you're not falling asleep and the story is not all that fascinating, just roll with it. Roll into it. So let yourself be absorbed into it. Because getting tense and getting frustrated is just really, that is the opposite of what's needed. All of us insomniacs have had those nights where you're tired and you're exhausted and you just can't sleep, and you get more frustrated and more tired and more exhausted and stressed, and sleep just gets further and further away. So the whole point of the story of this podcast, of you listening to me here, is to let go of that frustration. Just listen to my voice. Let it wash over you and under you. Take a deep breath and drift into the dark. Take another breath. Imagine the warm darkness enveloping you, inviting you to sleep. Imagine this darkness inviting you to a better life that starts tomorrow. And if you just can't let go and you just can't fall asleep, forgive yourself and try again tomorrow. If you've had a life of insomnia, sleep feels like an enemy. But it is not an enemy, it's just something that we learn to fight with, that life fights with and keeps away from us. We have stresses and strains and anxieties and things that we worry about, and we have technology that we stare at in the middle of the night that shines bright blue lights in our eyes and keeps us awake. But sleep is your friend, and I'm your friend. I'm here to work with you, to create a safe space, a cocoon in which you can curl up and allow nature to take its course. So if you're still with me, thank you for staying. If you're already asleep, we'll chat again soon. And of course you aren't hearing me, except maybe in a dream. Mutewallow Episode 1, A Day in the Life. Good evening everybody, and welcome to our latest episode. In this episode of the Where Are They Now Day in the Life TV show, we are investigating the sleepy town of Mutewallow. It is not a very well-known town. It has a population of about 300 or 400 people, yet you'll learn that there's some quite remarkable things about it. As we come into the town, you will see... Eric, are you getting this? Are you getting this? Sorry, Eric's my cameraman. I'm making sure he's paying attention to the good stuff here. Eric, look at that shop, that store over there. Yeah, as you folks will see, this town it's a rather picturesque little historic village. It was founded apparently in the 16th century, when the town founders arrived, came from the nearby cities where they were having their studies and whatnot disturbed. So they decided to found this as a little retreat for them. Over the years it grew and grew, but never got too big, because the locals have a very specific area of interest, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. Eric, look at that over there. There's some of the locals coming past. At first glance, everything here seems pretty conventional. There's not many cars in this town. It looks like maybe the sort of place where, you get these small historic villages that often ban vehicles. Cars have to go around or park somewhere and everyone has to come in on foot. But we have seen a couple of vehicles come past, but not very many. There's a little Ford Fiesta going past right now, so obviously cars are not banned. They're just, for some reason, not very common. Quite a few people walking around here, most of them going about their business by the looks of it. I've got to say, the streets in this town are amazingly clean. I don't think I've ever seen streets as clean outside of maybe Singapore in all my years as a journalist studying the life of people all over the world. Well, as you can see, the people here, a lot of them have a tendency to dress strangely. It's a little bit of a look that some of these people have. If you're the judgmental type, you may accuse them of being hipsters. All these old-fashioned style of clothing, hats and robes and stuff like that. Except most of the really outlandishly dressed people are quite old, and hipsters tend to be fairly young, and so probably a description that doesn't really apply very much. It looks a very ordinary looking town as you come in from the outskirts. Beautiful historical buildings, most of them about 400 years old or so. This town looks like it was built in just a few nights and hasn't really changed much since. The streets are tarred. which is a modern edition, obviously. But you can still see hitching posts where people have hitched up horses and maybe other riding animals. What other riding animals, you may wonder? Well, I'm sure we'll learn more of that over time as well. And, Eric, have you noticed that there's no fast food places around here? No real modern franchises or supermarkets, nothing like that. There's an amazing looking grocery there. Look at that. Oh my word, look at the fruit. It's amazing. It looks like something out of a television or magazine advert. It looks just too perfect to be true. Hi there. Yes, can I buy one of these? Oh, that's very kind. No, I insist. I'm happy to pay. It's your business. Okay. Oh, all right. Thank you. Very generosity, sir. Thank you very much. How nice is that, Eric? And you can get me one for you too. These apples look amazing. They look bright red, but such a nice firm texture. Usually such red apples are a little bit soft and flowery in my experience. These things are amazing. Have a taste of that. Oh yeah, that is amazing. Seriously good. I don't think I've ever had an apple that good in my life. Wow. Now seriously, this is incredible. Alright, okay, Eric, we visited the grocer who's been very generous to us. Oh, there's a very nice bakery. I'm a little bit nervous poking my head in there in case people start saying we're taking bribes, because it seems like the locals are quite generous. Yeah. Anyway, oh, that's a little bit strange. Look at that bookstore over there. Some strange lights coming out of it. That's interesting. Weird flashing. Looks almost like they got a little disco going on in there. Oh, how strange. I don't know what the proprietor is up to there, but we've got a meeting with the mayor, so we better get a move on. Oh wow, here's an apothecary. That's a fancy old-fashioned name for a pharmacy. I wonder why you would call it an apothecary in this day and age. Well, of course, Eric, you and I know why, but the listeners have still got some very interesting things to learn about this little town of Mutewallow. And keep tipping my hand, but I think we really need to make it quite explicit. Okay, cut. Alright, and we're back. Thank you very much, folks. I hope that was an interesting and informative commercial. Please support our sponsors. We are here now with the mayor of Mutewallow. Her name is Atexel Findham. Now, Ms. Findham, Mrs., what do I call you? Ms. Atexel. Oh, thank you very much. Yes, so, Atexel, explain to us, firstly, that is quite an unusual name you have. What is the origin of that? Oh, it's an old family name. Oh, that's interesting. Atexel. So that's what was your grandmother's name or your great-grandmother's name, and every in your generation. So apparently the Findham family is the founding family of this town. Is this accurate? Okay, oh, really? So you're the first Atexel Findham, the famous one, came here in the 16th century and founded this town with some compatriots from the nearby cities. What was happening in the cities? Why did they move out? Just too many distractions. Yeah, I'd imagine city life is very distracting in the 16th century. I don't know. What would city life in the 16th century have been like? Dark and dirty, I guess. So, describe the mayor's outfit. The people of Mutewallow don't really stand for ceremony very much. You're not going to find many people in suits and even in fancy dresses here. Atexel's outfit, she's dressed in... She looks like she's about to go for a good ramble in the countryside, to be honest. She's wearing robust trousers with a lot of pockets, a warm-looking jacket, also a lot of pockets. Everything is very clean, obviously, but looks quite worn. I think she's had these same clothes for a long time. The stuff is very high quality, so it's still looking good. But, people buy efficiently. They buy good quality and they expect it to last, and she's done it quite well. The one unusual thing about her outfit is her hat. It's a large, pointed hat. Looks like it's made of felt. Black and covered in jeweled stars. Bit of an unusual outfit for a mayor, but like I say, these people don't stand by ceremony very much. So Texel, explain to us the real claim to fame of Mutewallow. What is the purpose of the town? Because as you said, it was your ancestor and their friends and acquaintances founded this town for the purpose of studying. What is it exactly they were studying? And there you have it, listeners. This is a town founded by wizards, specifically for the purpose of studying magic, away from the distractions and, at the time, rank and unhygienic circumstances of city life. So the original Atexel Findom was, she belonged to, you said, the Red School, the Red Wizards. What does that mean? There's no real reason, they just liked red. They like the color red. Oh, your family crest is a black unicorn on a red background. And what is the origin of that? One of your ancestors tamed a unicorn and rode it into battle. That's quite amazing. Taming unicorns must be quite an achievement. It's not something you get much anymore these days. Oh, you do? Unicorns are still quite common. Really? Why don't they get seen very much? Magical creatures are good at hiding from non-magical people and their cameras. I guess that makes sense. They live in another realm just beyond the horizon. Okay, now I understand. That's really, really interesting. Do many people ride them? Oh no, they don't generally go for that. Okay, alright. Well, thank you very much. That was really, really interesting. So you offered to take us for a tour of the town to show us the sights and meet some new people. Oh, thank you very much. Alright. Well, thank you, everybody. We're going to cut to a quick commercial and we will chat to you on the other side. Okay, we are back welcome back, everybody. We are back in the main street. It's the main street because it's pretty much the only street. There are a few little side alleys that come and go off the sides. Most of the population of the town doesn't really live in the town. There's a lot of little hamlets and cottages in the forest around here. Most people are a very short walk away from town, but just prefer to stay away from the main roads and traffic that comes past. Not that there's very much traffic. It takes a while. Why do so few people come through here? I mean, quite a fascinating place. You'd think it would be quite a tourist trap. There would be major attractions here. So it's generally kept quite quiet, but not secret, right? I mean, you've got a TV crew here right now. That's us. Okay. You just make people not interested in coming to visit with using magic. Okay, alright. That's a bit alarming, I have to say. Just playing people's minds, that doesn't seem very ethical. It's more of a general sense. You don't go into their minds. I guess it's not quite as bad, but it's still a little bit strange. Okay, so we're going to go to... we came past the apothecary and the bookshop earlier. Noticed some interesting activity in the bookshop. I'm looking forward to learning about it. Something else that I didn't get a chance to mention earlier because I was distracted by the amazing apples from the grocery store. Oh, yes, they are amazing, aren't they? I can't wait to try the mangoes. You say they're even better than the real thing. Well, than the regular thing. What do you mean the real thing? The fruit, they're not real. Sometimes you don't know. Okay. Right, something else I did notice earlier that I didn't get a chance to mention because I was distracted by the apples that may or may not be real is there's a lot of animals wandering around here. Maybe even more animals than people. There's cats and birds flittering around. Well, the cats aren't flittering around, but the cats are in all over the place. There's a lot of birds, particularly ravens and crows. I suppose wizards have a flair for the dramatic after all, and that's a very wizardy type creature, isn't it? Yes. So many wizards are traditionalists. They can have pretty much anything as their familiar, but they tend to go for the classics. Black dogs, black cats, black birds. Alright, I guess that makes sense. And also, it's not too alarming if you're wandering around with your familiar and someone who doesn't know what's going on pops past, I guess. But I noticed a lot of the animals are wandering around without masters or partners. Oh, look at that, there's a big badger. That's amazing. This badger's walking up and talking to Texel. Hello. Wow, this is the first time I've ever been introduced to a badger. Exeter, that's an interesting name, badger. What are you up to? I see you've got a backpack there. What you got going on? I'm not touching, I'm just curious. I can hear the little bottles clinking there as you move. Bunches of herbs tied into the backpack. Oh, are you on a shopping trip for your master? Or, like the big holo master? Okay, alright, your partner, your human, your companion. Okay, that's fair. I mean, who really wants to be subject to a human, even if they're a wizard, I guess. We will let you go then. Thank you for taking the time to meet with us. It's much appreciated. You can see you're very busy. Okay, so, Exexel, tell me, so the master or the partner of the familiar just gives them tasks and they go and do it happily? Oh, well, so they're very tightly bonded and it's actually a joy for them. Oh, he belongs to Elegron, the alchemist. An alchemist. Not the one from the apothecary in town. Okay. So this Elegron lives out in the forest and performs experiments. Oh, you actually kicked him out of the town because some of his experiments got a little bit too explosive. Asked him to leave. I'm sure it was a friendly conversation. Oh, no, I'm not sarcastic at all. I'm sure it was a friendly conversation. I mean, it would have to be, surely. Okay, so here's the bookstore we came past earlier. I did notice earlier, as I said, it looked like a disco was going on in here or something. There was so many bright lights and flashes, and I thought I heard some strange noises, but I couldn't be sure. Okay, well, let's go in. Wow, this place is amazing. It's got really old books made of leather and parchment. There are scrolls over here. Everything's in cases. Can't touch anything. Probably a good idea. Who knows what would happen if I just went poking. Well, some regular books. Here's a couple of fantasies. Raymond Feist and David Eddings. I guess even wizards like to examine things or look at things that are related to their field, but completely guessing what's going on. Tell me, Texel, what do wizards generally think of fantasy books? Oh, they find them funny. Yeah, I would imagine. I mean, some of them must be very outlandish compared to what you do. Who's actually got really accurate ones? Are there any accurate fantasy books? No, not really. Okay, that's fascinating. Also, little bits and pieces overall, but nobody really gets it close to right. At least nobody who is currently active. Okay, fascinating. We're meeting Gradell. Good day, Gradell. Wow, Gradell here looks like a wizard. If they ever redid Lord of the Rings and Ian McKellen wasn't available, Gradell could play Gandalf quite easily. He's a large gentleman with a long grey beard and long grey hair and long grey eyebrows. It's all rather dramatic looking. His robes, though, are long and black. He doesn't seem to be a Gandalf the Grey type. To the other wizard robe colours of any significance? I mean, you mentioned being red wizards earlier. Oh no, it's just the name of the school because of the right. So people don't actually have to wear red if they're a red wizard. So he's not like a black evil wizard. Look, I'm not trying to be insulting. I was just like kidding around. I mean, I'm sure you get bad wizards. You get bad people of all types. You never get bad wizards. Alright, I'm going to take you for your word, although for the record, I find that a little bit hard to believe, but if you tell me it's true, I have no reason to disbelieve you. Okay, so he's got the hat. I mean, even Texel, for her strange outfits, also has the hat, so that seems to be a common feature. I mean, it's a look. And the robes Gradell's robes are really rich. The fabric looks very, very expensive, and the stars are stitched out of tiny little jewels. It's quite an amazing look, actually. So, tell me, Gradell, I notice you've got obviously a lot of magical tomes and texts. So, do you pretty much only sell to other wizards, or do you sell to the general public who are interested in learning about magic, even if they're not practicing? Oh, so you actually won't sell, like if I came to you and this manual of thaumaturgy here, that if I had the money to buy it, you wouldn't sell it to me because it would be a waste. There's no point in it being a collection of a non-magical practitioner. Okay, that's interesting. And are people born wizards, or do they become wizards to study? How does it go? It's not like Harry Potter, like you're born magical, or you've got to study it. So I mean, if I could get this manual of thaumaturgy and go home and study, you would insist on starting me off on beginner stuff. Okay, yeah, no, that absolutely makes sense. Is there anything here that you have that would be handy for someone interested who can't practice at the moment? Okay, yeah, and the price on that? Oh, that's very reasonable. I think I'll pick up a copy on the way out. Yeah, sure. No, sounds fantastic. And so can anybody develop their ability, or... Okay, so anybody can in theory, but it's difficult when you're older. I mean, I'm pushing 40 here, so it's probably going to be difficult for me to do anything more than light a candle. Lighting a candle is quite difficult. What am I actually going to be able to do? I might be able to astral project. That sounds like it could be fun. As long as I don't encounter... okay. Maybe I won't pop down. Yeah, if I encounter anything while I'm out of my body, I might be in big trouble. Okay, so maybe I won't try. Okay, alright, well, thank you for the warning. Wouldn't want my family to come in and find me a complete vegetable because my soul's been eaten by a dragon, by a spirit dragon. That would be very unpleasant for everybody, I'm sure. What happens to an eaten soul? Any idea? Oh, no idea. The soul's never come back. Okay. Wow. Okay, well, geez. I gotta admit that's a little bit more alarming than I expected. I suppose magic is not to be trifled with. Oh, so elemental magic might be quite safe, relatively speaking. I mean, might set things on fire, but should stay under control. Alright, so beginner's manual in elemental magic. Okay, that sounds better than the thaumaturgy. No souls getting eaten there. Although I do have to be careful of summoning elemental spirits and making deals with them. I'll end up in a thrall to a genie or something like that. Okay, alright. Thanks for the warning. No spirit summoning. I'll make note of that. Alright, thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Gradell. That takes all. Oh, now we're going to the apothecary. Amazing. I kind of wondered when I came in why they wasn't just called a pharmacist. But I guessed at the time that maybe it was something to do with the fact that it's run by a wizard as well. The proprietor is Zubin. Is that I'm going to say wizard names. I can't really tell if it's a man or a lady or neither. Just by the name. It's a lady. Okay. She's quite young, you say. She's been in the... Well, her family that's been in the business for a long time. Have they all been alchemists, or the wizards, are they interdisciplinary? Are they cross-disciplinary? They tend to specialize, but pick up a little bit in other fields. So I guess that makes sense. I mean, you've got to be able to discuss with people intelligently, even if you don't necessarily practice that thing. Okay, well, it's like I'm in TV, talk to other people in the media about their experiences. So no, I understand. It's obviously not exactly the same, but it probably transfers somewhat. Okay, Zubin. I wonder what kind of wizard we're bumping into here. We have a very atypical one in Texel. We had a very typical one in Grodel. Okay, now Zubin is a beautiful woman. She looks, I don't like to guess a woman's age, but probably early to mid-30s. Beautiful red hair. She specializes in potions and applications. What do you mean by applications? Oh, like ointments and things like that. Okay, that makes sense. As I say that makes sense a lot in a town with full of wizards and magicians, and so I've never encountered wizards and magicians in my life before. I'm actually finding it interesting how well I'm coping with this, to be honest. My editors thought that I would lose my marbles a little bit. Okay, so we are here in the apothecary with the alchemist Zubin. Thank you for allowing us to bring the cameras in and meet with you. Yeah, thank you very much. So alchemists do alchemy, transmutation, and that sort of things, right? Try to turn lead into gold and whatnot. Oh, the lead and the gold is not the point, obviously. I mean, that's the Philosopher's Stone. You're trying to produce that. Oh, you have Philosopher's Stone. So if I understand properly, Philosopher's Stone means you can live forever and transmute anything into anything. Okay. Yeah, no, that definitely sounds interesting. So why don't you just take it and live forever? And it would get boring. Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're a wizard studying, I'm sure you could do a lot of studying in basically an unending life. Wizards do live quite a long time already, so about 400 or 500 years. That's interesting. So when they say you're a young wizard, what do they mean? Do they mean you're like in your mid-30s, or you're 120? All right. Okay. So in wizard years. So the Philosopher's Stone doesn't keep you alive forever. Okay, you do extend your life with it, though. Can you just take so much that you will live forever? You probably could, but then what would be the point of that? No real fun, I guess. Yeah, no, that computes. I'm trying not to say that makes sense. I'm saying that a lot. So, okay, we have a big cauldron here that's bubbling away. What's cooking? What's cooking? Okay, so you're cooking like a base, and a magical reagent base, and then you add stuff to that into smaller pots. Okay, I always wondered why they always represent wizards and witches cooking in these giant cauldrons. It doesn't seem a very efficient way to cook potions unless you're really mass producing. So you mass produce the base and then put additives in later for specific purposes. Okay, no, that's interesting. Yeah, I've got to say I'm surprised at how scientific this whole thing looks. Sort of, I'll admit I had a few prejudices about this coming in, so this is actually quite interesting to see. Oh, I see you have a familiar yourself. You're also one for classics. You've got a giant snake there, a white snake. Looks a lot like a python. Oh, it's a viper. Very big viper. Not a very natural looking creature, that one. Hello there. I'm not going to get too close if you don't mind. I don't really mind snakes, but you're the one that said it's a viper. It's definitely toxic, definitely poisonous. Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm definitely not going to come any closer. Thank you very much, though. So, alright. We are leaving the apothecary now. So Zubin, besides being an alchemist, is also something of a herbalist. So she does the more theoretical alchemical work, as well as treating illnesses and that sort of thing. Yeah, she is really beautiful. She looks like something out of mythology, a temptress, the sort of witches that witch-finders looked for, because they tempted young men into misbehaviors. Okay, well, that's excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you for taking us around your town. We have learned very much, and we're going to go and put together something more for our next episode, and we will come and see you again soon. Thank you, everybody, for joining us in this first episode of a roundabout day in the life at the town of Mutewallow, a town founded and populated almost entirely by wizards. Thank you for coming, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks again for joining me on this episode of the Sleepytime Tales podcast, the sleep aid podcast designed around a bedtime story to help you to get a restful night. New episodes will be released every Sunday night to give you something fresh to help you rest in a new week, but make sure to subscribe on whatever service you use so that you get new episodes and maybe the odd bonus whenever they come out. A reminder that the music for tonight is Un Désert by Kumiku. Check out more of their work on their website and their Patreon, which you'll find linked in the show notes. Good night and sweet dreams.